Welcome to the OK Not OK podcast. I am Dr. O'Kay, and it is finally Royal Rumble week, and that means the SportsZu will have his second week of throwing darts at the wall when he tries to predict the men's Royal Rumble tomorrow. But for now, let's go to the SportsZu with the OK question of the week. Doc, neither of us liked the result in that Strowman-Fatu match, so let's skip that one for now. What else caught your attention in Saturday night's main event? Well, SportsZu, I have a feeling you've got plenty to say about that one on Friday, so I'll steer clear of that one for now. And I think I already said my piece in the recap and with the grade that I gave it. So today we'll go with the women's championship match. That was between Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. And today we're going to change it up and specifically talk about Nia. So Nia is actually tied with Rhea for the most Royal Rumble eliminations with 20. And now with Rhea winning that match, I think it's safe to say that Nia has a great chance to lead in eliminations all time, and specifically leading in most eliminations in this year's match. And yeah, we know Rhea is great and mommy is always on top, and it's pretty easy to talk about her all of the time, whether she's licking Dom or kicking him in the dirty D, or whether she's winning matches or winning more matches, because that's pretty much all she does. It makes a lot of news for us. So instead, Nia does not always have that kind of news, so we're going to focus on her. So the SportsZu and I had her as a finalist for Female Superstar of the Year to get an OK award, and I also gave her an A for her 2024 year, and she also had a lot of matches, but I feel like we just never go in depth on Nia. So we'll talk about her now. So she had a one-off appearance at the 2023 Royal Rumble, but she officially returned in September of 2023. And she has proven to be an irresistible force in one-on-one matches, and since her return, she is 19-9 in one-on-one matches, including winning the Queen of the Ring tournament and, of course, winning the WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. She also had 4 successful title defenses, but I will say that's not so many. We'll give her a slight pass though, because in October, she went for the Crown Jewel Championship before losing to Liv Morgan, and then in November, she was in the Women's War Games match, so she certainly was in plenty of big matches without necessarily defending that title. However, while she is very dominant at those one-on-one matches, it is any other match that's a problem for her, as she is 0-6 in multi-person singles matches and 2-7 in all tag matches. So somehow that takes her below 500 since she returned at 21-22. But we can't blame her for trying to win the tag team titles. She's just clearly not as good with Candice as Bianca and Naomi are together. But on the plus side, Nia is definitely putting in the work. Since SummerSlam, she's participated in 9 title matches, which is first among all women and second overall behind LA Knight's 10 title match participations. But more amazingly, she did that while competing for 4 different titles: the WWE Women's Championship, the Crown Jewel Championship, the Women's Tag Team Championship, and at Saturday night's main event, the Women's World Championship. Now more generally, in 2024 she had 28 matches, which was the 3rd most of any woman on SmackDown, and her 13 one-on-one wins was 5 more than any other woman on SmackDown and 3 more than any woman on the entire main roster, and only 4 men had more than her 13 one-on-one wins. Maybe even more impressively, she's already had 7 matches in 2025. We will admit one of those was the Money in the Bank cash-in, so she probably would rather not have that match. However, it still counts as a match, so those 7 matches are the most in the entire WWE, and 2 more than Naomi, who is the only wrestler who has gotten to 5 so far. Now for a couple fun facts here. Since Nia returned on September 25th, 2023, Roman Reigns has 8 total matches. Nia, on the other hand, has had 8 matches since December 27th, 2024, and even more amazingly, Roman Reigns has just 2 one-on-one wins and 3 singles wins in that entire time, while Nia has 2 one-on-one wins since January 1st, 2025, and 3 singles wins since November 15th, 2024. And so while we're praising Nia here for reaching that incredible achievement, I think at the same time you also know what we're doing here with that stat. Alright, anyways, Nia is very smart, of course, and she protected her kingdom and her title very well for a long time by bringing Tiffany Stratton into the kingdom. And in fact, Tiffany had the one thing that made Nia vulnerable. So as the old saying goes, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So by having Tiffy be by her side, it was less likely that she would attack her. And a couple times she practically handed her Liv's Women's World Championship, but Tiffany was just not intelligent enough to take it. And I'm sure Nia was frustrated by all of Tiffy's incompetence, and eventually Nia couldn't help but to get under Tiffy's skin. Also, eventually, Tiffy had enough of it and concocted some sort of lame brain scheme that somehow worked. She needed about 10 things to go right on that very first SmackDown of 2025, and I guess sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut. And unfortunately for Nia, it worked out for Tiffy. Now, I guess the point is, with all of that preamble, Nia is very underappreciated, while some other people are very much overappreciated. Here's my takeaway from Saturday night's main event, which is that Nia would win every one-on-one match if she simply didn't gloat before annihilating. Because in that match against Rhea Ripley, she tried for 4 Ania-Lators against Rhea, but only landed 1 of them. Now let's go through all 4 of these attempts. In her first attempt, she had actually surprised us by performing a leg drop off of the second turnbuckle. Now why would she do that? Because when she did this leg drop, she actually turned around to face Rhea, and she connected with it with ease, but Rhea was able to kick out. Now, I admit it might have been smart for her to turn around to see if Rhea was still down, and in fact, that might be a recommendation that we're going to make a little bit later. But for now, I think it's safe to say that it's better to know where the opponent is. But let's also not forget the laws of physics, where force equals mass times acceleration, and while the leg drop is a good move, and we've seen her defeat many opponents with it, I think it's safe to say that she gets more mass by crashing onto an opponent with an Ania-Lator than she does with her leg drop, as long as both of them are going from the middle rope. And so I think it's safe to say to not do that leg drop and instead do the Ania-Lator. But anyway, in this case, she did leg drop and then dragged Rhea all the way to the other corner. Not sure why she did that. That simply gave Rhea time to recover. So when she went for that first Ania-Lator, she admittedly did not gloat right there, but Rhea was able to recover due to first having time to kick out, and then from Nia dragging her over. So Rhea was able to get up right away, and she powerbombed Nia off of the middle rope. But not long after, she Uranagi'd Rhea and then had to drag her a slight way to get into that corner. And of course, this time she did indeed gloat by putting her arms out like this, like she always seems to do. And in fact, Rhea recovered and pushed her up against that ring post and then landed a crossbody on her on the floor. That takes us to her third attempt, where Nia was actually able to counter a riptide by shifting her weight to splash on top of Rhea, And this time, she actually did not gloat yet again. She just went right on up to that middle rope and annihilated her. And you would think, like she always does, she would have continued to sit on top of her to try to get a pin, but for some reason, she didn't do that. Instead, she stood right up, and guess what she did? Put out the arms to gloat yet again. And then, amazingly enough, Rhea was actually able to grab at her feet, so Nia kicked her a couple times. Then she went right back up to that middle rope, and yep, she put those arms out one more time, which gave Rhea enough time to get up and did a little boogie-woogie electric chair. And that was it, because Rhea quickly landed that riptide to retain the title. And obviously it is not easy to defeat Rhea, which is all the more reason why she should not be celebrating earlier. Now we'll also admit that everyone misses their finishers all of the time, but the A-Nia-Lator is simply a different miss than the others. Now let's think of some of the classic finishers out there, like a spear or Drew McIntyre's Claymore, where those kind of moves, you actually have to wait for your opponent to get into position, and then that gives them time to step out of the way or to even kick you right in the head. Or there's other types of moves like the KOD or an attitude adjustment, where it takes some effort to lift up that opponent so he or she has time to regain their wits and then squirm out of the move. But here, for the most part, it's just Nia taking too long to crash down onto her opponent, which allows them the chance to move, and usually she takes so much time that they actually get up and attack her from behind. And that's one good way to lose a match that she should not lose. So Nia, we've got 3 recommendations for you to win almost every single one-on-one match. So recommendation number 1, always annihilate and never leg drop from the middle rope, because as it currently stands, the leg drop has a couple things against it. Currently, that leg drop takes a little bit longer because she does have to turn around to pull off the move, and it goes down with less force because, again, there's less mass crashing onto the top of the opponent. And also with the A-Nia-Lator, you are immediately in a pinning position, whereas with that leg drop, you need to do a traditional cover. Number 2, always turn towards your opponent before the A-Nia-Lator. First, I will quickly note that this does give her less reason to gloat because she won't be staring at the crowd. And then second, the leg drop is actually smart in that she turns toward that opponent because it protects her against unseen attacks. And due to that, it is less likely to miss. And Nia, we know we don't want you to hurt your whole body all the way up to your spine by missing that A-Nia-Lator. And recommendation number 3, there should be no gloating or early celebrating before you win the match. This, I think, is the most obvious and kind of the main point, because you're always putting out those arms before the A-Nia-Lator, which is costing you some of your matches. Now, of course, we think it's a great idea to relish your victory and laud over your kingdom all you want after you win. Just save it for afterwards. And I hate to break it to you, Nia, I think you will soon have a new challenger to your kingdom who thinks she is the one true queen. So, if you want to rule over the SmackDown Women's Division, I think you need to take my advice and annihilate all your adversaries by not gloating. And for you to be a loyal subject in my kingdom, I need you to go right on over here and check out the grades from this week's Raw on Netflix. But if you don't, you might be the one getting annihilated, and I'm sure that will feel not okay.